I will not keep silent because of Zion, and I will not keep still because of Jerusalem, until her righteousness shines like a bright light, and her salvation like a flaming torch. Nations will see your righteousness, and all kings your glory. You will be given a name that the Lord's mouth will announce. You will be a glorious crown in the Lord's hand, and a royal diadem in the palm of your God's hand. You will no longer be called deserted, and your land will not be called desolate. Instead, you will be called, my delight is in her, and your land married. And your land married. So your God will rejoice over you. Oh, good morning, Life Change. This morning, I want to talk about it takes a miracle. Isaiah 61 says, arise, shine, for the light has come. Hey, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60 verse 1 again. Arise, shine, for the light has come. Woo! I said, for the light has come, and the glory of the Lord is upon you. How many of you have been in a situation and you didn't know how you was gonna make it? How many of you knew that your situation was one of such that it would only take a miracle for you to be able to get out of it? Come on, I want y'all to preach with me this morning. I want to see your comments. I want y'all to be with me this morning, because for somebody, your situation, it's going to take a miracle. I want to talk to somebody that came on and that's been looking for God to do something, because you, with all of your stuff, know it can't happen. It looks like it just won't happen. Broken relationships and nothing seems to take place. Although you want to forgive folks, they ain't willing to step to the plate to even talk to you. You want to right some wrongs, but it seems like the more you want to right, the more wrong happens. You want to clear the air with some things, but the more you try to clear, the more foul stuff gets. Oh! So many people are in need of a breakthrough, in need of change, in need of deliverance, in need of hope. And the more you try to do, seems like nothing is happening. The more sick you are, the more medicine you're taking, and there's no cure. There's certain things that you're trying to do, and it seems like all hope is gone. Oh, is there anybody in this virtual space that is in need of a miracle? You came to the right place this morning. You came to the right place on this morning. For the scripture says in Isaiah 61, arise, shine, woo, for the light has come. Usually when somebody's in need of a miracle, it's when they are in their dark space, in a dark place, where it seems like there's no hope left, where it seems like you've just given up and thrown in the towel. I want to talk to somebody this morning who's in need of a miracle. See, many of us think A miracle is something that drops from the sky, something that seems to be beyond you. But this morning, I want to show you how easily miracles can happen. We find here in 168 BC, before our time, there was a king named Antiochus V, Epiphanes. This king, in his time, outlawed Jewish practices. And he even went so far to defy the Jewish temple. So we find something that was ruling, somebody that had something to say, came and defied and went against the order of the day by instilling the altar of Zeus, and even to the point of doing something that degraded the Jewish people by sacrificing pigs on an altar. This king did not know that what he was doing was going against not a temple, not even a people, what was going against God himself. And so it took a small army of people known as the Maccabees, and they rebelled against this religious persecution. Matter of fact, in order to regain control over the temple, they went in and they removed every idol that was built up on this altar. And the sacrifices that they wanted to take place, they eradicated it, and they said, nope, not here. For it goes against our law, our religious law. And so, according to legend recounted in the Talmud of the Jewish Bible, this compilation happened between the 3rd and the 6th century of Jewish teachings, and it was called When a Miracle Occurred at That Time. What am I saying? See, some of you all don't know what I'm talking about because this isn't found within the Bible, but this is called extra biblical resources. Or in other words, some scholars call it the apocryphal book. That if you opened up the Apocrypha, which is a book, you will find this story of the Maccabees, which speaks of a time and a place, 168 BC. So we know it happened. We just don't see it in our biblical text because it doesn't really, so it says, it doesn't really give any significance spiritually to help us go beyond what we need to know about God and Christ. But may I say, I believe it has a lot of significance for our understanding of who Jesus is and him being the light of the world. But I find that this story that I'm mentioning, we don't find it. I can't even give you scripture for it. But if you was to open up the Apocrypha book, you'll find a book called the Maccabees. And in that book, what you would find is this story, that there was a time where the government had tried to outlaw and tried to desecrate and defy the temple of God. And there was a people, there was a person, there was a group called the Maccabees who said, by no means are you going to come into this place and tell us how we are to worship and defy the temple of God. And here it is, as they was trying to clean the temple, and as they was trying to restore the temple in its right place, they didn't have what they needed to, which was light, to be able to restore what they needed to. What I find interesting about this book is that we don't see this book found, but it reminds me just to say to somebody today that although the story is not in the book that we look at as being sacred, does not mean that the story is insignificant. Woo! That's a word right there for somebody. That somebody, although you may not feel like your story is a part of somebody, they're not including you and they're not adding you, and your book may not even be mentioned. But let me say to you, just because your book may not be in a book called significance does not mean your story is not significant. The crazy part was that there was not enough oil to keep the light burning within the temple for them to do what they needed to be able to cleanse the temple and to restore the temple. And so they only had enough oil, which this oil was symbolic of light, just for a day. And so they tried to do whatever they tried to do, but it wasn't enough to satisfy the very thing that they needed. I want to talk to somebody today. There were three things that I have for you today that I want to point out to you during this season, because you may have gone through 320 some odd days. We're almost to the end of the year. So you've gone 227 days, and there may have been some things that you are now still in need of. You're still in need of a change. You're still looking for a breakthrough. You're still in need of help. You're still in need of God to show up and to show out. But this morning, I have a word for you on this morning, that although somebody may have looked at your book as insignificant, although it may seem like things just aren't lining up the way that you think they should, although it seems like things aren't the way that you would think it should be, does not mean that God is not able to show up and to show out. Matter of fact, during this time when the Maccabees took a hold and they rebelled, they was nervous. They was afraid. They was a people going up against a serious regime. Their lives were on the line. They was willing to sacrifice. You don't know the worry, the fear, the agony, the stuff that was on them, because they knew that what they was doing, they was trying to be obedient. They was trying to look for the one that they was so in need of help and so in need of. And so they was willing to take the risk. Oh my God. They was willing to go for broke. They was willing to do some things that the culture had said not to do. They was willing to go against what even the culture was saying. What am I saying this morning to you? That in these next 27 days, the Lord is reminding me in this season, because we've been talking about seasons, the Lord wants me to say to you, it's time for you to understand that it takes miracles in some seasons. Some things you can't work enough. Some things you can't do enough. Some things you won't be able to accomplish all in the time frame. And what is it going to take? It's going to take a miracle. In the midst of trying to do the right thing, it seems like wrong seems to have been winning. What do you do when you're in a situation like the Maccabees, when you're trying to do right, but the more you do right, the more it seems like wrong is winning? The more you try to treat people right, the more it seems like you get taken advantage of. The more you try to hold your peace, the more battles come that tries to make you want to fight. Am I talking to anybody today? Because it looks a little silent in this room. Oh, the more you try to save, the more bills come. The more you're trying to give, the more it seems like they're trying to take. Is there anybody in this place that you know that it just might have to take a miracle to get you out of situation, to get you from point A to point B, because you don't see how you gonna make it. You don't see how the end's gonna happen. You don't see, you're on this road and you took the journey, and my God, you may feel like you're in the middle, and it seems like you're gonna sink. It seems like you're gonna drown. Some of you all are saying, should I just go back? But could I remind you, it'll take that much more time to go back as it'll take going forward. So I want to say to somebody that this is going to be a season where it's going to take a miracle. I want to talk to somebody who's willing for some miracles to happen in these next 27 days. The miracle of curses being broken over your life, the miracle of things that seem to have been taken from you, but the miracle of restoration to come. I want to talk to somebody who's looking and who's willing to say it's going to take a miracle, and I'm willing to do some things. I'm willing to risk. I'm willing to sacrifice. I'm willing to lay my plate down. I'm willing to pray. I'm willing to worship. I'm willing to do some things that may go beyond what I'm so used to. I'm willing to get out my comfort zone in this season, because I know for it to happen, if it's the only way that it'll happen, it's gonna have to take a miracle. What I find here so funny is that when the Maccabees was doing what they was doing, they wasn't looking for a miracle. Matter of fact, they was just doing what they knew to do. They had convictions. They stood their test. They said, this is what we believe. This is what we hold on to. And they trusted that God would meet them at the end. They trusted that thing. But what do you do when you trust God, but then what you need, you only have a little of? A little water, a little resources, a little something. You don't have everything that you need. It's so funny because I saw my wife pass it to me because she was making some things and she only had a little. And she said, uh-oh, I need to run out to the store so that I could do what I need to do. But what do you do? I want to talk to somebody that when you have a little and you don't have the resources to go out, you don't have what you need to do what it needs to take. Oh, what do you do when you have a little? And what you thought you needed, you find yourself now in need of a miracle. My God, I want to say this to somebody that even the little that you have, I want to help you to understand that this is a season where miracles are all around you. I'm hearing the Spirit of the Lord speaking. Wherever you are right now, the little that you have, I want you to begin to change the way you're thinking, because the little that you have is a miracle that can happen in your hand. When we talk about it takes a miracle, what I found with this story in the Maccabees is that for a miracle to take place, number one, you got to stop focusing. Hope this comes on the screen. Stop focusing on what you don't have and look at what you do have. Woo! Oh, I'm going to help somebody in this season because somebody's stressing over Christmas. Somebody's stressing over their finances. Somebody's stressing over their loved ones being away. Somebody's stressing over the loss of a loved. So you're stressing right now. But could I say to somebody, let this be a season that a miracle can take place. How does a miracle happen? Where you stop focusing on what you don't have and look at what you do have. I want to say what the Maccabees during this time when it was so much pressure, they felt like the forces were coming against them. They felt like, my God, that they was on a losing side. They didn't have what they so thought they needed. But when they stopped focusing on the oppressor, when they stopped looking at how many was against them versus what they had going for them, woo! When they stopped looking at what people had to say about the government. Well, you know the government's taking over. Well, you know the government is they're taking over the temples. They stopped focusing on what it sounded like and what it looked like. And even when they saw that they had only a little oil to light the menorah that would only last for a day, when they stopped looking at what they had, the problem, my God, and they stopped looking at what they didn't have, but they started focus on what do I have. And what you find here is that they didn't say we didn't have enough oil. They said, well, we have a little oil. Could I say to somebody, the miracle that you may be in need of right now could be right with what you got. It may be in your mouth, that all you got to do is open up your mouth and speak a miracle in prayer. It may be in your hands, that all you got to do is lift up your hands as an act of thanksgiving, and a miracle might be right there. It may be in your pockets, where you think you don't have enough to make do, but if you do what you need to do, if you sow a little, my God, that little can multiply into much. What am I saying? In this season where you might need a miracle, let me remind you, stop focusing on what you don't have and start looking at what you do have. Oh my God, I feel like preaching right now, because somebody, you already have what you need for a miracle to take place in your life. My God. Number 2, let me help you out. Your miracle this season is within your grasp. It's within your grasp. It's within your grasp. Your miracle is within your grasp. See, Maccabees, they didn't go out looking for it. Some of them said, for what we're going to need more of. But they could not go out to get it because their lives would have been on the line. What they needed, they tried to think that it was outside of them, but what they found was the very thing that they needed was within their grasp. I want to say to somebody, the little that you have talked about, the little that you thought was insignificant, the little that you thought you didn't have, the little that you had and you see somebody else with much. I'm talking because I'm preaching like I know it. I'm not preaching something. I'm not telling you something right now that wasn't something that I had to deal with. I dealt with a situation where they had more on me than I thought I had myself. And I had to say, God, the little that I have, Lord, what can I do? And if I looked at the little for a moment, I felt depressed. I felt defeated. My God, I was going up against a mammoth of an institution, and I didn't know how things was going to make it. They said this institution, they got more lawyers, and they got more advocates, and they got more law for them than my little insignificant laws and money and people that I had going for me. I had a small crew that was fighting on my behalf. But when I looked at the situation, some said you might as well give up. Some said you just should throw in the towel. Some said you just should walk away. Some folks just said, listen, just call it. The reality is what the reality is. But oh my God, the little that I had, I took and I held it within my grasp. I didn't have a whole lot, but the little that I had, I didn't recognize that it would be my miracle. So I kept what I had. I sold what I had, the little that I had. I said, God, I don't have enough. Even if they said something, I don't have enough for what they would say I need. But what I ended up doing was I sold. Oh, I feel a preaching chord now. I sold the little that I had. And that little, mind you, it was in my grasp. See, so many people think you got to go out and look and beg and borrow and scuffle and look crazy about it. But I want to say to somebody in this season, you have it. You just got to start looking at it. Stop looking at the little that you have as being insignificant. Stop looking at the little hoopty that you have and think that it can't do nothing. If it could get you from point A to point B, then let it do what it's got to do. Because there's there's a time where if you could grasp A to B, then you'll be able to someday get to Z, baby. I want to say to somebody, you may have a little right now, but what you do with that little is going to matter too much. It's a miracle in your hand. It's a breakthrough in your hand. It's a blessing in your hand. Somebody clap your hands and give God a 30-second praise. Yep. Stop focusing on what you don't have. Stop focusing on what you don't have in this season. But look at what you do have. Turn and look. Lord, I got your blessing. Lord, I got your faith. God, I have your anointing. God, I have help. God, I still got a roof over my head. God, I still look at what you got. And then you grasp. You grasp it. 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 Hold on. Hold on to it. Don't throw it away. Don't talk bad about it. Don't manipulate it. Don't try to discourage it. But hold on. Because that very thing that you got is about to be your miracle. Give God a 30-second praise. Oh, I'm seeing all the hearts. I'm seeing all the lights. My God, I'm preaching to somebody today. I want to encourage you today because they wrote you out the story. What I'm preaching today ain't even in the book, but it's significant because in the darkest time, in their demeaning time, my God, they saw a miracle happen. And I want to say to somebody right now, it may be dark, it may be dreary, it might be dead, but a miracle is on its way. Somebody give God a 30-second praise. Yeah. Woo! I gotta move on. Woo! So my third point, it doesn't take Diane a whole lot for a miracle to happen. Oh my God, I gotta finish this because I'm getting happy. Because I feel miracles about to happen with somebody that I am watching or listening, who I'm talking to today. Who am I talking to? Somebody, you're on a verge of a miracle happening. Somebody, you're on a verge of a breakthrough. Somebody, you've been fighting some demonic issues for so long, but I want to say to you, you've got what it takes because God, the miracle is right there. My God, stop looking at what you can't do and start looking at what you can do. Stop saying what you can't do and start saying what you can do. Stop saying I won't and believe that you can. Stop saying it'll never and start saying I'm waiting for the day to come. Oh, who am I talking to right now? Somebody get yourself ready because a miracle is about to happen. PC here. Thanks for watching this video. Here's another video and make sure you subscribe, like, and comment down below. Give on Givelify. Type in Life Change Christian Church. Also tune in Facebook at Life Change Providence. We'll see you there.